shark here too? I thought the shark would be.
Some baby shark music in the background.
Yeah.
005. Very faint. It's probably still coming up. Probably not this hot. All right, who's Stacy here?
David. I don't know. This is the first time I think I've ever covered any secretary. You want to make deals. So the way editor asked me. I was just.
Yeah, they're just
put in, ask questions.
I saw that. I was like,
The editors. I don't know why he did that, but. Every now and then, usually that's high up, you know. Federal agencies would say, you don't want to be identified. Certainly the polls.
well, yeah, they want to record this.
I know everything's
It's not necessarily about
the
that.
announcement haven't happened.
They don't need to be in, yeah,
You don't,
yeah.
you don't need to include it on the story.
Right, but the editor, who's editing the story,
Try to,
put that in.
sometimes it's
Mine, you
It's
guys
not
ready?
like somebody else had any kind of information straight away.
John, are you good?
Yeah. It's one of their first days. Here.
Yeah.
Everything good?
Second day. Second day.
All right, everyone's ready?
We're good. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lyudmila Emag. I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Hi, I'm Nadia Baranchuk. I'm one of the ER attendings here at South Shore University Hospital.
And I'm Sanjay Gupta. I'm chairperson of emergency medicine here at South Shore University Hospital.
Just tell us how that day went. What happened? What were you doing? And tell us the tale.
Sure. So July 4th, it's a day off, and we decided to go to Fire Island to spend the day off and to swim in the ocean. It's Fire Island is a fun place to be, and we had a nice day. We swam all day in and out of the water. And we decided at the end of the day, around 4 p.m., we decided to take a walk on the shore, and we walked, and we had no plans to go back to the water, and then we walked maybe for a mile, and then we got hot again. It's like, oh, let's go for the last dip. And one of my friends went in first, and we were looking at her, and she's like, "Oh, the water is amazing. It's the best place. Let's all get in." And me and my friend decided to get in the water again. And about 20 yards from the shore, we were swimming. We were enjoying it, and I felt like something grabbed onto my thigh, and I screamed to my friends, "Something is biting me!" And I don't know if they heard me or not, but I felt like I had to take it off. I had to push it off from my leg. I felt like I was in a trap. It was holding onto me, and I didn't know it was a shark. I felt like there was something there, some animal, and I pushed it off, and we all swam to the shore. We, got outside, got out of the water, and I saw the blood was trickling down. And for a second, I felt, I see blood and I see wounds. I'm not crazy. Something really bit me. And my friends around me, one of them ran to get a lifeguard. And then the lifeguards came. They, dressed it a little bit. Then they got the park police. They called park police. They came. And they drove me to the park police board, and the board took us to ambulance, and the ambulance took us here. And then I met Dr. Nadia.
Did you ever see the shark?
I felt, no, I didn't see it. Maybe it was a good thing that I didn't see it. I felt it came under me. My friends, after they were swimming away, one of my friends, they actually, no, two of them, they saw the body.
Do you know how big it was?
We estimate it's about 4 to 5 feet, because one saw the body, one saw the tail, and so about my height.
Just your thigh or other parts of your leg? Multiple bites?
So it was grabbing into my thigh, so it's in between my thigh and my groin.
What was that again, just one bite on the thigh?
Yes, it was just holding on to me, yes, just one bite.
It was trying to pull you down at all, or kind of wrestling with you?
No, it was just holding on to me, and it didn't, I'm sure it didn't try to eat me or bite me. The water was murky, so from what I know now about sharks, they don't try to eat us, they don't try to attack us. We're not good food for them. So I think it was just accidentally bumped into me and got scared and had to beat me. Yeah.
So the doctors, what did you notice about the wound and how did you go about treating it?
Sure. So I guess I was the lucky attending that day on shift. Driving into work, I didn't think I'm going to see a shark bite. I've never seen a shark bite before. Lyudmila actually was my second patient that day with a shark bite. When I saw her on the stretcher, just to reiterate, she was super calm. Right? Like, this is not what you expect from shark bites or bites in general. People are in a lot of pain. She didn't ask for pain medication. I think her adrenaline was still probably pretty high after this. And then looking at that wound itself, it was multiple wounds. So it was a lot of abrasions, lacerations. There were some deep and superficial wounds. It was on the thigh itself, anterior, lateral, and medial. There was luckily nothing in the groin area. None of the vessels were affected, so she had a good pulse. Her sensation was fully intact, and she was able to flex, extend her extremity. So there was nothing else going on besides the wound itself, but it was pretty extensive because it came from all parts, and you could imagine the shark bite, just the size of the jaw itself, will create a lot of damage.
How many inches across the thigh?
So I can't say how many inches of the wound bite, just because there were multiple, right? So the wound bites, if you could think about it, it's teeth that are going in, so they were more deep than horizontal, whereas the lacerations and the abrasions, up to 5 inches on one portion, I think, in your thigh.
When you say
Did she lose a lot of blood?
When we got to see her, so it wasn't just me, Teddy Macaria was the PA with me on the case. He got to see her first, but we examined her together. She was not bleeding anymore. So when we got to see you, she maybe was mildly oozing from one deeper site, but there was no bleeding anymore, because most of her wounds were pretty superficial. There were just a few that were deep.
When you're talking about multiple wounds, are you talking because of the teeth, several teeth involved?
Correct.
And so they're getting into the thigh in several places?
So think of it as a tearing action. The jaw of any animal will bite into the skin, and then I guess she was trying to pull the shark off, so it kind of tore through the soft tissues in that area.
And so what did you do to address her?
Sure. So shark bites are not something that I've seen before, but it really essentially comes down to wound care of any animal bite, right? Number one, you have to rule out for foreign bodies, right? So we did an x-ray to make sure there's no loose teeth, there's no debris from the marine environment. We've asked her about a tetanus shot. She was up to date, so we didn't have to give her an updated tetanus. Very important, copious amounts of irrigation. You have to clean the wound very well in order to get rid of any possible bacteria in the wound. Okay, so copious irrigation was done by Teddy at that time. After all of this, then the discussion about closing some of the wounds came into play. It becomes a little tricky just because wound closure, there's no consensus to close animal bites. You have to weigh in the risk of infection versus cosmetic outcome. If the wound is to the face, cosmetic outcome is very, very important. So most of those wounds get closed. If it is to your hand, you have a lot of ligaments, right, muscles. You don't want those to get infected. Most of the time, we'll leave them open for secondary intention healing. We actually offered one stitch or a couple of stitches that would be loosely approximated just to bring the wound a little closer together for better healing. And we discuss it with our patients usually to say, hey, this is the risk of infection. We're going to put this in, but your risk of infection is higher now that we're putting in a foreign body into an infected area versus we're going to let it be. Maybe it's not going to heal as pretty, but you have less chance of infection. And Lyudmila declined. So we offered this wasn't a long wound. I would say maybe 1.5 to 2 centimeters lengthwise, but it was deeper. So it was about maybe 3 to 4 centimeters deep. So it was pretty deep into the soft tissue.
Was it like multiple teeth in an area?
Yes, multiple teeth in the same area. So that's right. So wound irrigation, closure, and then the last and the final, you have to treat with antibiotics. So any animal bite, you have to treat with antibiotics. For the shark bite specifically, it becomes very important, the marine environment, the salt water, you got to think about Vibrio, not something we usually treat our cat or dog bites or even human bites with, right? So Lyudmila ended up getting dual coverage antibiotics for just the regular staph and strep and like Pseudomonas infections, and then we also had to cover for Vibrio. Given that this was one of the first, shark bites that I've seen, we offered her to stay in our observation unit just to make sure that she's getting better with the antibiotic and that she's not getting worse. She kindly declined. She said, I'm just going to try the oral antibiotics. I know what to look for. We discussed the precautions, return if there's fevers, chills, if you're vomiting, you're having swelling, come back to us. And she knew exactly when to come back, so she decided to be more comfortable at her own home.
Is this a confirmed shark bite? I know it's one of several, but when it happened on July 4th, I don't even know whether, have you gotten it confirmed that it was a shark and who confirmed it?
Yes. I sent pictures of the bites to marine biologists, and they confirmed there was a shark.
Lyudmila, have you been back in the water?
Not yet. I'm waiting to be completely, the wounds to heal, and I think I'm gonna go back as soon as I can. I think. I hope.
Doctor, you had said that you had treated a shark bite before, and then you said you got 2 in the same day. So was that your first day ever treating shark bites, and you happened to get 2 in one day?
That's correct.
What was that like for you in your experience and practice with other bites that have one
Sure.
different kind?
I mean,
twice in one day?
Initially, I had to read the triage note twice just to make sure that I didn't misread it. I was like, you sure it's a shark bite, not a dog bite? And it was honestly, it's the same. It's going down to the basics. It's treating animal wound bites. Yes, it's a little odd just even to ask the patient, like, how did this happen? And they're a little frazzled. At first, she wasn't, and she wasn't in pain. But I think the experience, we are trained to see a lot of things in emergency medicine, and people come in with different complaints. It was interesting because it was my first shark bite, but it was also the same as other animal bites.
And just going back, Lyudmila, you said you sent the pictures of the bite to marine biologists. Can you tell us what organization they were with?
I had a friend contacted them. I can give you more information later.
Lyudmila, where did this happen on Fire Island?
Between Cherry Grove and Sailor's Heaven.
And how did you get to the hospital?
First, the lifeguards came on the ATV vehicle, and then they called the park police. So we went to another vehicle, and they took me to, I guess it's a police boat station. Then, we had a nice boat ride to, I think it was a police station, where we met the ambulance.
So you weren't in pain?
I was not in pain.
You were not in pain?
I was not in pain. I was in discomfort, yes. I felt like when it happened, because like I said, we took a walk from our belongings, thinking that I have to go back to my stuff. It was, a mile, like I realized that I could not probably walk, but I was standing on my 2 feet, and that felt good.
Were your belongings picked up?
Yeah, when the lifeguards came, and I had more friends with me, so yeah, we got my stuff.
old
You
are you?
said you did some,
47.
you said you did some research after this about shark bites.
Ye-
And just reflecting back now, just what are your thoughts about, what happened?
Right, I wanted to, first lifeguards suggested it's probably tiger scent shark, so I, wanted to read about that. Then the marine biologist confirmed it's another species. I honestly forgot what it's called right now. And I wanted to see, how I read, a couple of pages to see what they eat, how they travel to from warmer climate. They travel to us and to Maine on East Coast, and it was just interesting to learn more.
How far out were you when this happened?
How far? Not too far. Just when the waves break, maybe 20, 30 yards from the shore.
Were you swimming or walking?
Was at that point, I was not standing. I was swimming.
So you were actually swimming when you felt
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Doctor, you want to say anything? You're here.
I'm more here for moral support, but our last shark bite that we had at South Shore University Hospital was 5 years ago, so we've had a pretty blank time since then. But in just reflecting, we actually, I guess it's being prescient, we actually did a training session here with our emergency residents, our doctors in training last year, with the shark bite scenario, and a lot of it was based on wound management and bleeding control, because the one thing, being emergency doctors, we always think about worst case scenario, and the way that shark bites are largely fatal are from blood loss, that the patient has lost so much blood by the time they get to us, we can't support, their vital signs. So we actually did training last year on basically how to control the bleeding and how to place a proper tourniquet for these scenarios. Fortunately, we did not have to do that, and no one had to do that this year, but I think this is on all of our minds on the coastal hospitals now, that more and more of these reports are coming out. We understand there are more game fish, and our waters are warming, and we might, I suspect we'll be seeing more of this in the future.
How was in such a remote place, how did the plan work to get her to the hospital from the beach? Limited transportation, multiple agencies. Did that all work well?
Yeah, it sounds like from that scenario, that's standard and normal. I don't know much about the kind of geography of Fire Island, but we do receive patients by helicopter. So there's the ability to have helicopter transport off of there. So in very serious situations, that could be employed as well. And, we're fortunate in Suffolk County to have a number of trauma centers that should be able to support, including us.
That would be you were transported by ambulance stuff or boat, or how did that go?
First the boat and then the ambulance.
So from the Fire Island Beach by boat
To, I don't know what's the name of the place.
area or something?
It looked like it was a police station where the ambulance were waiting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you stand up and show us, not gonna, well, that's fine.
Just the general area.
Show us that area.
The area?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You said, step up in front of the table.
So it was just like the jaw was, I don't know which one was the upper jaw, which one was the lower jaw, but I found the jaw on my thigh.
Kind of the inside of the thigh?
Inside of the
Inside.
It was mostly all just punctures, right? Not tearing or stuff like that?
Some abrasions and superficial lacerations. It was multiple. It was everything combined. So definitely puncture wounds, but still a
It
lot
wasn't
of.
just one clamp, it was...
No, it was like a clamp and then probably.
When I was pushing it away, it was a
Exactly.
little bit.
So she sort of tore the skin.
Thank you.